Today's podcast is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, well, let me explain. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. It has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor distributes your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many other platforms. You don't even have to think about it. You just load up your podcast, you drop it in, you tweak it, you add ads. You can make money from your podcast. There's no minimum listenership either. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Club Cool puts the podcast out on Anchor. So do all the other Wash Media podcasts. And we've done this from other platforms. Nothing is as seamless or pretty or easy or just, perfect for putting out a podcast. So check out Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to the club.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, for another edition of the Club Cool podcast. I'm your host, Barrett Dudley, and I am here in the Washed Media studios, joined by Washed Media's very own David Ruff. Dave, what's going on, man?
Back in the club.
Back in the club.
I'm
back in the
back.
clubhouse, man.
You couldn't keep me out. You tried, but you couldn't.
No.
What's Gucci?
Not too much. Things have changed for you since the last time you were here. Your priorities
I have a mustache.
completely, completely realigned now.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
mustache number one, obviously,
the child number
and
two.
then child number two. You're
Right.
You're a dad now.
I am. It's changed my perspective on so many things.
Yeah.
I love coming back into the club with just this heightened sense of awareness and just this whole new outlook on life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what I can bring to the club today.
Well, so a lot of times we base our podcasts around listener questions, and so this one today, kind of, Phil, he's out, he's swamped with his real work, and he's got to do what he's got to do. But you were asking me about you had some questions about shorts.
I did.
And the shorts question was kind of spurred on by a recent acquisition of a shirt or two.
Yeah, that's usually how this goes with me, man.
Right.
I will buy. This is my MO every year. I will buy something that I assume is fairly trendy. 99% of the time, it's something Barrett's talked about or posted about. And I bought a shirt. It's a Portuguese flannel.
Mm-hmm.
Is the brand. Confusingly, I thought.
Yeah,
because to me it sounds like a style.
Because it's not actually Portuguese flannel. This particular shirt that you copped.
Right. So I went to a local place here in Austin called Stag. First time in there, great. Copped the shirt. What do you even call that style? It's a breezy.
We're calling those camp collars.
Okay.
At this point, that's kind of the broad, general, overarching term. But I think the kind of the sexy name that maybe caught your attention the first time is when I posted about a brand doing a Milano shirt.
The Milano shirt.
And I
Yes.
knew, I mean, you're so experienced with
Right.
Firenze
Thank you.
and you're
Exactly.
you have the Italian experience and background
And
and
I
a little
do.
heritage as well, I believe.
Yes, and I mean all of that's true.
And so I knew that one just really swept you off your feet.
It really did. That's honestly what got me interested in it. So I go there, trying a shirt, buy the shirt, and then realize shortly thereafter when I went to wear it, I wasn't really sure what shorts to wear it with because I was wearing it I was in Dallas, going to a patio bar, like one of those scenes. I was like, well, I can't wear pants, even though I think I've got jeans that it would look great with. I can't do that. So I ended up scrapping the entire thing. I didn't actually end up wearing it.
No shirt either?
No, I ended up putting on a golf shirt, like a Travis Matthews or something. I ended up wearing it on Easter.
Okay.
Which was dope. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'll buy something, a shirt, whatever it is, and then I realize I'm not comfortable with my old stuff to pair it with. So then, I got to upgrade everything. So I texted Barrett. I'm like, I need some shorts. What are the shorts of the summer?
Yeah.
What am I going to do here?
Yeah. Well, this question, I decided was going to lead to just a full-on, just a whole-ass episode. today.
I think it's a great topic, very important.
We've got a couple of other segments to touch on as well, which we'll start off here with one of those in just a moment. But here's how I know that this is going to work. One of the most popular episodes of Club Cool of all time, almost 2 years to the date. This episode came out on April 24th, 2019. It was called A Pants and Shorts Extravaganza. And it's one of our most listened to episodes ever. People just, they want shorts talk, and that's what we're giving them again today.
It's tough, man. I know, like, it's cliche. We've been talking about this forever. We had you on like previous podcasts, like, hey, what do we do about jeans? Jeans are it's hard after college. You guys in their 20s, what jeans do I get now that I'm out of college? Shorts. We're getting there with shorts now. Like,
yes,
I'm there now as a guy in his early to mid 30s, allegedly. I'm having this problem.
Yeah, and there has been a paradigm shift, which we will talk about. But first, I thought that you would also be a good person to follow up with the conversation that Phil and I were having from last week about this Swiss performance brand called On, which is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. We talked about how it's like carried in all the running shoe stores and at Nordstrom and in like all the big e-commerce platforms, and that they're just all over the place. You're seeing them on everybody right now. They're very hot. Serious runners are about them. And I was hopeful that I was going to have this pair in hand for the podcast last week. If you're watching on youtube.com/washmedia, you can see just a blindingly white, hot, fresh pair sitting right here in my hands. Well, now I have them to hold in hand and talk about, and I've got more feelings and emotions about this brand, and I have a decision on them as well for me at the moment now. Now this is the Cloud X. It's advertised as like a runner/trainer, so I thought it would be like a nice, good, lightweight summer shoe, but could also double up for the gym. Now, the first thing is I size up from like my standard like boot or dress shoe size across the board in performance brands. So I ordered these in like my usual Nike, Adidas type size, basically.
What size are you? Those look big.
These are 10s.
Okay, so I'm a 9er.
So because that's what I wear in like a Brooks running shoe or a lot of Nike running shoes or anything where I think I'm going to want a little bit of that extra toe room, basically. They're way too big. So that's strike one. You got to size more regularly on the On sneakers.
Okay.
Which I guess makes sense since they're European, so they're probably not following like the standard kind of Americanized performance sizing.
These are Swiss engineered.
Swiss engineered. That's right. Now, overall, we talked about this shortly before we started the pod, but I love the way these look just out of the box. This pair is all white, looks nice. The black laces are a good contrast. They're super light. But the second thing for me about them, and I've noticed this, I've noticed it on other people. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it on myself. The heel is very low. It sits low on the heel.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't sure I was going to like that. And once I slipped them on, didn't love it. Didn't love the way that looked on me.
Okay. I'm wondering how that affects like what socks you should wear with them.
Yeah.
That's something you got to think about.
It makes socks more difficult. If you do some standard low-cut ones, they're going to poke out like a little bit more than they would on a standard shoe.
Yeah.
And also, I think more than anything else, like muscle-wise over the course of the pandemic, I think what has suffered the most is my calves. I'm feeling like I'm looking in the mirror and I'm feeling like Ross out there.
Oh, no. How are the arms? The arms, like, they're not getting too big, are they?
No.
Good.
It's all slimmed down, with the lack of actual heavy lifting for a while.
Sure. But
I think the legs suffered the most.
That would make sense.
And so these feel, they're a half, maybe a full size too big, plus that low heel, and I wasn't about it.
Do you ever look down when you try on a pair of shoes like these, and you look down and you think, okay, are these wide, or do I just have like the biggest bitch legs ever? Which, like, I've got very skinny calves. And tiny ankles. I'm like, I always have to make that distinction in my head. Like, is it the shoe or is it just me?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a gut feel for me. If I look in the mirror and I'm like, these shoes look giant, I'm probably not going to wear them that often.
Yeah.
So, are you seeing these? We go to two kind of competing gyms, but they're on the same wavelength, I think, as far as general like clientele? Are you seeing a lot of these
Absolutely
at your gym?
Honestly, for the longest time, I thought they were called OC.
Dude, I thought it was QC. I thought it was QC.
That would make sense too.
Maybe that's why On feels new to me, is because I've only known what the brand is actually called for like the last year.
I feel like I've been seeing these for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
If you go to Nordstrom and you stop by their men's shoe section,
Yeah.
they will not only show you these, they will push these on you.
Okay.
These are the ones they want to sell you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they've got some kind of backroom deal, what kind of commission they're getting off that, but yeah, I'm seeing these everywhere. Recently, the Lifetime I go to, the gym I go to, which is south, it had to close because somebody screwed up the plumbing. So I went to your old club, what is now Lifetime downtown, used to be Pure.
Yes.
And let me tell you, it's like they were handing these out. It's like you got a free pair when you walked in the door because every dude in there is rocking these.
Okay, so that kind of brings me to my next point, and I think you guys may have even touched on this today on your podcast, which I failed to mention yet. Bad host, but circling back, the flagship podcast here at Wash Media, and or maybe you weren't even talking about it on the pod, but pre-pod, and there may have been some comparison to Allbirds.
Yeah, and it's not fair. Can I say that?
Yeah, please.
And here's why it's not fair. What I'm comparing when I think of Allbirds, it's not the actual shoe or the design. It's the guys that are wearing them.
Yes.
It's not because they're very. You have to look very closely, but they're very different than a pair of Allbirds. There's a lot. This is Swiss engineering, for example.
Yeah.
But you see, my friends who were previously Allbirds guys, they are now On guys.
All right. So that brings me to a quote that came from a listener in our Discord. And I won't name names. I don't want to put you on blast like that and run the risk of you getting attacked by some
we don't dox here.
Some Dallas frat bros. but if you'd like to join the Discord and get this type of intel right from the source, you can do that by becoming a patron of Club Cool. Anyway, one of our listeners, this is a quote. I know it's a poor frame of thought, but I associate On with Fort Worth trust fund babies and TCU frat dudes, so I've stayed away thus far. And that was kind of, that put a new light on these, and I feel like I kind of knew it in the back of my head. And then he said that, and then kind of like the second half of that strike was I was at this very bougie sunglass store out of California. We have a location on South Congress. I was in there the other day. It's called Garrett Light. And a dude was in there who was like trying on these sunglasses. He was ultra knowledgeable about all of them, and he knew like all the names, and he had like the optical and the sun, and he was wearing this really like washed out like polo, like a polo horse polo with his collar popped.
Okay.
And he had on a pair of Ons. And I was like, that's it. Can't do it.
Yeah, there's a stigma with these now.
Yeah, and that's it, the ubiquity, and just like you said, who is wearing these? Who is pulling these out as like their not only their gym or their running shoe, but their like, Saturday bar crawl shoes as well.
Yeah.
It's the guys that were in Allbirds 2 years ago.
Yes, it's and this is how we've described Allbirds. It is like the tennis shoe, the sneaker for guys who want to get into sneakers, but they, for whatever reason, have an aversion to Nike or Jordan or Adidas, any of the brands that a lot of the hype beasts wear.
Yeah.
So they go with these. These are they're safer. And I'm seeing the same kind of guy wearing them. These are big in Dallas. I mean, the Austin. I just did the Austin Yuppie Bar Crawl, which is a restaurant and a coffee shop around the corner here. And dude, I'm not kidding. Like from 25 to 45, these are the shoes.
Yeah. I think that's right. And I think my ultimate consensus here is that, or my ultimate conclusion here is that if I go to like a running shoe store and I get fitted and I try on a bunch and I'm like, these feel awesome, I'd love to run in them, I would absolutely wear them as like a running shoe, and I would even take them to the gym. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm out on them as my like casual summer day shoe at this point.
It just puts off too much of a vibe.
It's too much of a vibe. It's too much. It's not the vibe that I typically go for. It's not really the vibe I want to go for, and therefore I'm out.
You are like you you're 3 years into your finance career and you want to stop wearing the driving loafer to the bar. So you cop some of these, and you're probably going to wear them with really short ankle socks, like the no-shows maybe. You're showing a lot of ankle. Your ankles are very, very chilly. Shido would be very upset with you if he saw you wearing these. Yeah, because like that is the thought that I have in my head when I see them. And now you're talking to a guy who currently, I'm wearing the Veja.
Yeah.
Which I almost put in the same category because it is a trendy running shoe.
Yeah, and that version of the Veja, which is like they're more it is their performance shoe, definitely kind of falls into this same category where they are wearable as like a casual shoe, as a cool shoe.
Yeah, I bought these for when I was on a running journey when like beginning of quarantine. I was like, I'm gonna get into this. I gotta have something to do, and now. I don't even, first of all, I don't long distance run anymore because my knees just can't take it.
Yeah.
But these are I like wearing these out. I like the color scheme, but I put them in a similar category.
Well, the when we're thinking about this guy and what the rest of his kit looks like, he's probably also wearing like a 5 or 6 inch inseam khaki chino short with a fixed waist.
Right.
Something that you may have grabbed from like J. Crew or Polo or Brooks Brothers along the way. Some
Tyler shorts. If he's real aggressive, the Andrew short.
That's right.
If they even make those anymore. That was my short of college.
Yeah,
my short of
the San Marcos outlet had those in spades.
100%.
And I'm guessing as we segue here into our shorts conversation that's the type of short that suddenly doesn't feel right anymore with these more casual, like breezy camp collar shirts.
Absolutely. So those, and if we're gonna go all in on the shorts right now, I'm a big fan of the Lululemon shorts, the bird dog shorts, that style, because you can get them tailored, or they tend to break on my leg where I need them to. But something about it feels too athleisurely,
right,
to pair with a camp collar, and I might be wrong. Maybe I just need to be more adventurous. But
no, you're right. You're right. Now, as a quick aside here, I did want to just touch on this like gym short thing, because just anecdotally, I was at the mall the other day. Laura was returning something to Nordstrom, and we like walked down the little strip there, and I like walked by Gap and whatever else is right there. And I saw a young man, probably around the age of 18, and he had like Spicoli length, like blonde, like cool, long, curly hair. He was probably like 6 feet tall, and he was very, very slim. And he was wearing kind of like a baggy, kind of boxy t-shirt. And he had shorts on that I would describe as like women's shorts. Like that's the length that they were. But the thing was, they weren't cut like a woman's short. They were clearly for men. And this is like the TikTok generation and like the young kids, anywhere, if you're like between the ages of 16 and 24, they are going insanely short with the shorts right now. Like not a chubbies thing.
Yeah.
Like higher than that sometimes.
It's very popular in this area.
Yeah, with the
Westlake
I'm sure you
kids.
see a bunch of Westlake kids that are all about this. Where are they even getting these shorts? Who is making shorts this short?
I don't know. I know the trend in the gym is to wear very, very short gym shorts with not the combat. What is it?
Compression.
Compression.
Yeah.
Tights under it. Which I think that's a cool look. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, to wear that out, like, was it like a denim or a chino?
No, they were more. They were kind of in this in between that we'll talk about in a second. They were like. If I had to guess a brand, I would have said like a Lulu or like one of those brands that's competing with them, like the Vuori or 10,000 or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like a lot of
brands that I get served ads
that you get
to
served
on
ads.
the daily.
Yeah, and we'll probably now get served like a dozen more. And I mean the kids are very influential here. Like my kind of go-to Nike shorts for the gym, which I think probably typically have like an 8 or 9 inch inseam, are suddenly feeling far too long.
Yeah.
And I think Nike has even responded. The last time I was like looking for shorts on their website, it seemed like they're offering a lot more training shorts, gym workout shorts that are letting that quad show.
Yeah, and like the thing is, these kids are and more power to them, they are not wearing it just, because they have big quads. Like, it's all body types wearing them.
Yes.
You see the dudes with like the jacked legs, doing
sure,
squats,
sure.
and then you just see guys like me who just have
yeah.
like average to below average size legs wearing them, and they don't care.
I mean, the great thing about it is for those dudes that get an early start like that, like, you're just going to have tan thighs forever.
It's great.
And that's something.
Start them early.
You got.
It's important.
Once you have a pasty thigh, it's really hard to get rid of that.
Yeah.
You can't just start wearing the shorts and just have like a big golfer's tan and be showing off a bunch of pasty thigh.
That's an
Can't do
area.
that.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that.
So, there's just one. That's just another thing that I'm noticing shorts wise. But to continue talking about the type of shorts that we're going for, that we're after here. The big shift, the big paradigm shift that I alluded to earlier, is that the fixed waistband is out.
Right.
That is, you pull up any website, whether it's mall brands like J. Crew or Gap, or whether it's fashion stuff like Mr. Porter, or anything in between like a Todd Snyder or Stag, and like the shorts that they're pushing on you, that they're throwing at you, are almost universally at this point going to have an elastic waistband or a waistband with stretch in it.
Yeah, where did some of those brands that we mentioned earlier, did Bird Dogs and Chubbies, did they help usher this in somehow? Or
it's crazy to think about, but I think they did.
That was the first ones I remember, or the Patagonia. I know you're gonna get to that in a little bit. The baggies.
I think all of those things kind of go hand in hand, and just like when we were in college, like our style, and we worked for a company that was kind of pushing this, how that style like trickled down into high school, and the like pocket tees were big, and and that type, that all like rope hats, all that type of stuff. Well, in the same way, I think that the kids in their 20-year-olds, the kids in their 20s who were like big on like the Chubbies and the Patagonia baggies and the Bird Dogs and all that, I think that trickled down and then like warped into its own thing that's even shorter and a little bit quirkier and more fashion-y and less bro-y.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy to think that Chubbies was kind of way ahead on this.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I know exactly the type of short you're talking about, because anytime I drive by the high school every day and I see these dudes, and I'm like, okay, obviously I don't want to dress like a high school kid, but much like you, I want to keep up with
the trend.
I'm interested what they're
Yes,
maybe I can do a modified dad version of that. I always go back to Bird Dogs or Chubbies. I think Chubbies was the original. But yeah, like they're all doing that now, and it's crazy to me because, like I said earlier, when I was at that shop that I mentioned earlier, Stag,
yeah,
and buying the shirt, the camp collar, the shorts they were pushing on me were all elastic waistband.
Yeah,
and that threw me off, and I was like, I don't know if I can get away with that with these. And then I got home, and I'm like, well, I can't get away with it with any of the stuff I already have, which is like your more traditional,
right?
Just khaki shorts or something like that.
Yeah,
a bonobos or whatever.
I think so. One of the kind of the overarching conversations that Phil and I have been having for the last 6 months, and I think we'll continue through the rest of this year, as far as like what the big picture is and like how men are dressing, is that while we thought we were graduating out of athleisure right before the pandemic hit, we thought that things were going to get a little dressier, and then the pandemic kind of like changed it all.
Mm-hmm.
We still kind of left athleisure, but what we
did we really?
And what we what we pushed towards was what I basically called like work from home fashion.
Oh yeah,
and so it kind of brought athleisure with it as like the baseline.
Yeah,
right. Like I have never worn my Outdoor Voices Sunday shorts more than I have over the past 12 months. You know what I mean? Like I'm in those 4 days a week probably. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like that lifestyle, that work from home lifestyle, meant that if you leaned all the way into it, you were never wearing anything but athleisure. So if you wanted to do anything else, anything cool, anything trendy, anything fashionable, you still wanted to be comfortable. You still wanted to be able to work from home. You still wanted to be able to like sit on the couch or play with the dog or whatever. And so that's where I feel like that's where I feel like this elastic waistband short fits in, because it's now in cottons and it's in corduroys. It's not just like a nylon from Patagonia or from Nike. It's in those too, which lean towards the athleisure side of things. But now it's also in like your more standard classic, casual fabrics as well. And it's just like they're just so easy to throw on, and because an elastic waistband essentially like pulls in the top of the short, it by its very nature kind of like makes the bottom of the short go out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that works in with like the more boxy shape of the camp collar shirts that you're buying and talking about as well.
Yeah, and whereas like the shorts that I have a lot of, the Lulu shorts, they're a little bit more form fitting.
Right. Yep.
Tailored and whatnot. And I think what I'm kind of realizing is when I go to a men's store like that, and they're showing me these shorts, there's a reason they're showing them to me, because this is like what they know what they're talking about, basically.
Yeah.
And I got to just trust them, because like I'm not going to be able to throw something else together that's better than what they're promoting. So yeah, I'm probably going to make a return trip, but I've been looking at some of the links you dropped in here on the rundown.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I want to pull a trigger on some of these. I've never tried them on, so now I'm wondering what the move is. But yeah, some of these brands, I was not even familiar with Todd Schneider. I thought he was just a singer-songwriter.
There was he was on Listen to Your Heart season 2, I think. No, man, I started putting this little list together because, like I told you, I slipped on your text message and failed to drop you some links directly. So I just started. I mean, once I get going on these links, it's hard to stop because this is such a popular style at the moment. So
it was all a ploy so I could get on Club Cool.
It was.
I didn't expect you to respond.
But I pulled up the ones from Caton, which is a surf brand that I think we've liked for quite a while.
Caton's got a lot of cool stuff.
And those are carried at Stag, which you mentioned. And then I put the Todd Snyder ones on there because those are the ones that I mentioned that are in corduroy, which I think is really cool. Saturdays is a brand that we talk about a lot, kind of in that same price range, contemporary fashion landscape as Todd Snyder.
Do they make women's stuff, or is it just for the boys?
Todd Snyder?
No Saturdays.
Just for the boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thought so.
They got to stay on brand.
You have to.
You know what I mean?
I got you. Let me. Oh yeah.
It took me a second to get that one, Dave. I won't lie.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's lame what I'm doing here.
There is I linked you a pair of Nikes. These things the kids are all about. This kind of fits that mold of the short that I was telling you about that I saw on the kid at the mall.
Yep.
I bet if you size down in these, you could get them pretty short.
These look like what I was wearing in 6th grade to soccer practice,
yes.
with like a Mossimo shirt tucked into them.
Yeah. But this, thank you, Randy. Look, I'm telling you, these things sell out like crazy when they drop. The only ones you can get right now are this turf orange or like the bright blue. Look at all those colors sold out here.
And look at this dude's just perfectly tiny legs.
I mean, he's not going to be getting popular on TikTok with those things, though.
No, he's not. And I hate to body shame, but my man, just pick up a kettlebell, do some farmer's walks or something.
And then, I've got your favorite brand, Stussy, is on here. They're doing an easy short. Easy short is a very popular term for these. And that's what Gap is calling theirs. Their Gap is offering multiple inseams, ton of different colors. J. Crew has the Doc short. Like I'm telling you, that's why it's hard to just say, oh yeah, here's where you should get these, because you can pretty much get them anywhere now.
Oh, and like the drawstring, is that what you would call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the look, to have that visible and hanging down. Yeah, man, that's. Okay, I'm starting to.
Are you getting you seeing the
clicking?
picture?
It's clicking. I learned by the visual aids only. 35. Where's this Gap?
That's Gap.
What's the e-waist? Oh, elastic.
Elastic waist.
Okay, for the e-waist for the e-boys. That can't be a coincidence?
It's probably not.
Okay, I'm in on these.
I mean, and it's also not a coincidence that this guy has a giant calf tat.
Oh, come on. Jeez, calf. And he's got dude. This guy's cool. This is a cool dude.
Yeah.
From the waist down at least.
New Balance 990s.
Yeah,
White
dude.
mid calves.
TFM.
Calf tat. And an e-waist.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like these. I will be $35. That's
30
low risk.
and you know Gap's running some type of promo on top of this.
Yeah.
Click that arrow up button, Randy.
We just online shop and
see?
I come on.
There you go.
There we go.
Just tap to apply all those, man.
Let's
They're
go.
They're probably $10. So yeah, anyways, we can stop online shopping now, but that's the big picture. And I've been going through this too over the last 2 years. It's like, because I've got, 6 different pairs of your classic chino waist, fixed waist chino kind of cotton shorts, but they were more tailored.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have that little bit of kind of wideness, of flair.
Yeah.
I want to say, and they suddenly looked like too tailored for the boxier shirts that I wanted to wear,
They don't
to Summer House on a Saturday.
Exactly. So we'll see you there. Oh man, the pressure is going to be on me to put something together. Man, I can't. Oh, the same
Well, I think
week.
the weather's going to throw you a curveball, though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is it weird that? Okay, so is it Stussy or Stussy?
Stussy.
Stussy is a brand that was around when we were growing up. Like it was, like we were wearing it. We were wearing Stussy shirts. I mentioned Massimo. Yaga was another one. These type brands. Did they go away? Or I know they've been back for like the last decade, 5 or 10 years, at least in my consciousness. But like the trend toward like those, like that was the shorts, the drawstring shorts, the soccer shorts you could wear to practice. We were wearing, that's what we were wearing to school too.
Yep.
Like Umbros, that's the one.
Umbros and a Yaga tee? Hell yeah.
That was the look. Are those brands going to make a comeback, or did they go anywhere and I just don't know it?
Pretty much all the ones that you mentioned have sort of attempted like a comeback in one form or another. The thing with Stussy is Stussy never left. Stussy just went out of fashion for a while, just because skating went out of fashion, really.
Okay.
And but Stussy was always available, I think, pretty much throughout the last 15, 20 years in places like PacSun and Zoomies and Journeys and shops like that. And then like kind of, they made efforts to kind of become more fashionable and less like kind of nailed down in the surf and skate world. And then surf and skate became really popular again and was like influencing all of style and fashion. And so those two things just kind of coincided, and Stussy is like very, very popular, arguably more popular than they've ever been now.
Yeah.
The Umbro tried. I feel like they tried a couple of years ago. I think Target bought the brand and was going to be putting out Umbro stuff. And I think it kind of fizzled. I didn't see it catch on too much.
When's No Fear coming back?
No Fear, probably in the same year that Big Johnson's come back.
Man, oh God.
But we laugh about it, but like in the world of vintage tees, you know what the hottest thing is right now is wrestling.
Oh really?
Like if you have like a legit shirt from a wrestler, like if you bought like a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt when you went to the wrestling match in 2002, chances are that's a Made in the USA t-shirt, which carries a big premium in the world of vintage, and like people are selling those for a couple $100 if they're in good condition.
I might have some D-Generation X t-shirts in my closet.
I mean, that if they still, hopefully, young you bought like an XL because it was like the only size left, and
I was all, dude. I used to in high school. I have these giant T-shirts, these Woo Wear. Do you remember Woo Wear, the Wu-Tang Clan's spinoff clothing line?
Yeah.
I had these giant Woo Wear T-shirts that like wouldn't even fit me now. And I'm like, dude, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And I'm like, my DC, my skater stuff, like, is all huge.
Yeah.
It was insane.
You looked like AJ Soprano.
I really did. I really did. Which you never want to look like AJ Soprano.
No. But so I mean, I've looked around for like vintage Yaga tees because that was my shit. Like I loved Yaga.
I did too
as a kid. And that's one that I haven't really seen. That one has not been revitalized.
It's tough
as of yet.
We
but so,
wish
but
them
so,
well.
so, I mean, like we're laughing about No Fear and Big Johnson, but if you have them, keep those on ice because you never know.
My buddy ordered a fake Big Johnson shirt on accident. Like he thought we were going on like a trip, a spring break trip or something. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the funny guy with the Big Johnson tee," and they sent it to him, and it was all jacked up and it was fake. And he's like, "Yep, just spent $35 on a
On
a shirt I'm not gonna wear."
A bootleg Big Johnson.
Yep.
It's one other thing I wanted to just kind of like touch on real quick. We talked about how Chubby's was potentially a little bit ahead of their time. Do you know that they've moved HQ to Austin, by the way?
I heard that, and it surprised me because I feel like I don't know where their headquarters is,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't hear anything about it. And maybe it's because I'm not as connected in
Tuned
that
in, yeah.
the retail, the men's fashion
Sure.
stuff. But yeah, that surprised me.
We've got a little scene developing here, a little fashion scene. With
Interesting.
we had like Yeti's doing stuff, Howler Brothers, obviously, Outdoor Voices, Cricket, and then Huckberry just moved HQ here as well.
Where are they?
Chubby's
Where's
as well.
Chubby's and Huckberry?
I don't actually know, and it's possible that neither has official offices yet.
Are they doing
well.
WeWork?
They might be doing WeWork.
Have you watched the doc yet?
I've not.
Y'all got to do it for OCC. It's insanity.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely will. His story, Adam Newman, like, just crazy. There's also a movie adaptation coming out with cousin Greg from Succession playing Adam Newman, or whatever his name is.
That is exciting.
So that's pretty exciting too.
Yeah, dude. I just assume they're gonna end up on South Congress or South. You know what I mean? Like that seems like we're.
Or I mean, for their HQ, I'm thinking probably East Side. That feels like
I guess they're bigger. These are big. Chubby's seems like a bigger operation. I don't know much about Huckberry, but
yeah, and there are examples of that. Takova's had their offices right above that shop on South Congress, so
they outgrew it.
But they outgrew it already. Yeah. So, but what I wanted to ask you about Chubby's, we obviously worked for a competing brand for many years, and the one thing that we were always kind of like, or one of the many things that we were always trying to catch up with Chubby's on, is the way that they wrote their emails. Do you remember the Chubby's emails?
Very edgy.
Like it was the edgiest thing in the world at the time, and it was they were so funny and they were so conversational, and they were like jam packed with pop culture references and like meme jokes and like all this type of stuff. And I think it turned out to be a little bit too much of a gimmick, but it's like you can't. It was just I've been thinking about that recently for a variety of reasons, but if you lean on that so hard like they did, it's like bound to stop working at some point. It doesn't have forever legs. You can't.
It doesn't, because once other brands start doing it, and then it's just I guess that's how everything is, but it becomes uncool real quick.
Right.
It's cool when you're doing it, the novelty of it, but once like. Okay, so we were talking before this pod, like the Instagram marketing campaigns, where it's a video and it's a guy. I think one of the razor companies early on did this where
Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, he's like walking toward the camera or walking through, and he's like talking, and he's like doing stuff while he's talking, and a lot of it's cool, and it's like maybe he chugs a beer or he like throws a bottle, and he's all while he's doing this, and like somebody tosses him a golf club, like. I get these ads served to me, and it's a lot of them are golf brands, and it's for like cool chubby style golf shirts, and it's the same thing. It's just edgy guy who's unshaven, who just hitting a golf club, throwing it away, then like pitching his company to you, and I'm like, man, this is not cool anymore. Like I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And Chubby's, man, to their credit, they were early on a lot of things, I guess, and the edgy email kind of fell that same. Had that same fate. But.
Yeah, once the copycats roll in and like start, standing on your corner, you have to find another corner to stand on. It's like I mean, it's the same thing with the product itself. Like if you're doing something successful, there will be copycats, and you have to continue to be one step ahead of them. Yeah. Or else you run the risk of somebody coming in and doing it better than you, or stealing your market share, or like or just making you look like like just run of the mill, because there's now a bunch of
drags
things.
You down.
Yeah, right, exactly.
To a certain extent. And man, I've probably written Chubby's off a little bit in my own mind, because like I knew they had some good stuff, but like at the same time, it's like, yeah, like the bits kind of worn on me a little bit.
Yeah.
And they could have been the last 5 years putting out heat that I've missed out on.
Totally. I mean, I at some point over the last couple of years, I just unsubscribed from the emails because it hadn't really changed.
Are they doing them still, like in any capacity?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, obviously, I think the brand is still doing okay. I think, but I certainly think that they. I don't know. So the stuff that we just kind of talked about, I think some of that kind of happened to them. And I don't know where their footing is exactly, or like who their core demographic is anymore, or what. Because I don't think that they have the same. I don't think they carry the same kind of cachet that they did 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like all these other brands are now kind of riding their wave a little bit. And it's like, okay, well, what is Chubby's still like the fun weekend brand, or are they doing more like buttoned up type stuff? But yeah, that's I guess they're doing it well enough to where they can relocate their stuff to Austin.
Well, I mean, or you can look at it another way, that they had to leave San Francisco.
Good point.
They couldn't afford San Francisco.
That's a great point. It's not like they were leaving like Toledo or something.
Right.
Okay, no offense. Shout out to Toledo. But.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I this conversation made me think about the Chubby's arc, and I just wonder kind of what's going on with them.
Man, I always spend so much money after these podcasts. I always like the next 24 hours, like I should have Alyssa just lock my laptop away, my phone, because now I'm gonna be doing some hunting.
Yeah.
After this.
Well, the last thing I wanted to cover today, you have an interest in sneakers as well, so I wanted to borrow a segment from Circling Back, which I think was at one point called Marry Fuck Kill, but with other things instead, and then graduated or morphed into Stand Mute Cancel.
Yeah.
Do I have that?
Yes.
I have that right?
Is that right, Randy? That's right.
Okay.
There's even an Opry Nose Beers kickback version, but I think to keep this is the original is the best.
Well, so for Stand Mute Cancel, I was putting this together, and the thing that's different from like a standard KFM though is that two of the options kind of seem bad. Whereas two of the options with MFK, KFM, whatever you want to call it, are good.
Right.
Yeah. So
muting
muting is kind of the in between.
Yeah, because you can always go back and unmute.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Once you're canceled, you're canceled.
That's true.
You unmute somebody, and it's like, okay, you're back. So you're reserving the right to be back in on it.
Okay.
So there was obviously something about it you liked.
Okay.
But yeah, that I'm looking at what we're about to do.
Yeah,
this is going to be tough.
I'm going to check your temperature on some of the hottest sneaker drops that are either kind of dropping right now or this weekend or in a couple weeks. Randy, do you mind pulling up my photos from Stand Mute Cancel here? Okay, so first up, this is the Air Jordan 1 Hyper Royal. This is being kind of tossed around as potentially one of the top 3 drops of the year. This is a very sought after colorway. It's got the North Carolina blue kind of vibes going. Plus, it's very summery, and it's got the mottled suede, which is different. So this is hot shit. This is up there for a lot of people, myself included. I would love to own a pair of these. Number 2, it's going to be kind of very similar. This is a Jordan 4 that is releasing, I think, in the next couple of months. This is a university blue. This is very much the Carolina blue. This is a big deal because a couple of years ago, Travis Scott did his version of the 4s, which were more Houston Oiler blue. But that's a $1,000, $1,200 shoe now. Mm-hmm. And anytime Nike tends to do this, they take something that was like ultra exclusive, ultra hyped, and they say, "Oh, well, we'll just run that back, but without the collaboration name on it."
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of like people will call this the poor man's Travis Scott 4, but it carries its own weight because it's North Carolina colors and it's a Jordan 4, which is obviously one of the most popular silhouettes. So we've got that coming in the next couple of months. I don't know. I know you like 3s. I don't know how you feel about 4s.
I'll save it for my response.
Okay. And then this third shoe here, this is from New Balance. This is a collaboration with pod favorite Aimé Leon Dore. You may have heard Will mention these recently, actually,
Yes.
or see him drop some tweets about them. And this is a retro New Balance basketball silhouette that the creative director at ALD brought back last year, called the 550. Kind of looks like a golf shoe to me. That's been my beef with them.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But I like the vintage retro look of these, and they're definitely, they're different because we see Jordan 4s and 1s, and
Is this
that's
the only
everything all
color
day.
scheme?
No, there's a similar one that replaces the dark green with navy and the yellow with red.
Because this has got major Waco Baylor vibes.
It does. And green, and we were actually chatting about this a little bit in the Discord too recently. Green and yellow as a color combo, very, very big right now. Super
Why
hot.
is that?
I don't know, but it's everywhere. I'm seeing it
You know
everywhere.
what? I meant to ask you this. So the Portuguese flannel shirt I bought it's like a very, very light yellow with the powder blue. I guess they're stripes.
Yeah,
they are stripes. And you were like, yeah, I like it with the olive. They were like Fidelity pants.
Yeah, kind of an olive green.
And in my head, I was like, man, is the green and yellow cool? Are people gonna be like, oh, cool Baylor guy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm in my own head about it, but I wasn't sure about that color scheme. But that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was in.
And it's and I think, this is like kind of like a more emeraldy forest green with a more kind of golden yellow. But it's any of the hues together. Like there's another pair of New Balance, which is a collaboration with a Japanese brand, and they are straight up like Kelly green with the real kind of brighter yellow. Like they look very Baylor.
Interesting.
But I'm seeing this in headwear as well. There's a lot of green hats with yellow print. Howler has one for Spring 21. That's that green and yellow color combo. So it's really popping up everywhere, and I feel it's weird. I think I don't know if it's like a Big 12 thing, but like I love burgundy. I love the way burgundy and maroon clothing and accessories look, and I can't touch it because I feel like I feel like an Aggie. I feel like I'm repping Texas A&M.
In Texas, it's
is that
definitely
a Big 12 thing?
I think it's definitely a Texas thing.
Because I don't feel like SEC people have that kind of. I don't feel like they have that.
I don't know.
I don't feel like if you went to Florida, you like can't wear red because it looks too much like Alabama. But I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe they do. Have that.
Maybe with like the crimson, with that might be the one. But the stigma earlier when I was driving down the road, I saw a maroon burgundy Tahoe with confusingly a Baylor emblem on it. And I was just like, why would you go with that? Because it's just, you don't see that color very often on a vehicle. And when you do, like I immediately expect to see like a 12th man sticker on the back for A&M.
Right.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that. Especially when I see it on someone's like high-end automobile. I'm like, oh, they had the money and they chose to get that color.
They chose the maroon.
For a reason.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more I'm looking at them, these would be fire golf shoes. Just a nice soft spike.
Yeah. Do you know that there are both companies that you can send off to and also like DIY kits to turn shoes into golf cleats?
I've heard
golf
this.
spikes.
Yes, I know some people who have either done it or talked about doing it.
Okay.
One guy who's like a do-it-yourselfer type, and I'm like, that's not me. I'll send them in.
Mm-hmm.
Will they do the soft spike, or do you have to get like the traditional?
I'm not sure. I just learned that this was even possible like earlier today.
Okay.
Because somebody was talking about it with these.
Okay. Because I mean, that would look. I would wear those on the course.
Yeah. That would be a fire golf shoe.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to mute this particular shoe.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. There are some things I like about it. The only thing I don't like, it almost looks too vintage for me.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a modern take on a vintage item. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. They're this thing with the you see how like the soles are kind of yellowed?
Yes.
That's very much on purpose, and they're calling it like neo vintage basically.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these are cool. These will be very popular in amongst the the 20-somethings.
Do you know who got a pair of these? You know who told me he got a pair of these this morning?
Who?
J-Bone.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's even on board with this shoe.
Well, I don't know what that does for the shoe. No offense. Shout out to J-Bone. Good for him.
Yeah.
The Jordan 1. Actually, let's stop here. Let me go ahead and cancel these.
Okay.
And while I do, this is the 4, right? While I like the 4s, I don't think the 4 works for me. It just doesn't fit me.
Mm-hmm.
And these are cool, but I could not pull these off.
What do you think is the difference? Because you do like 3s, right? You own some True Blue 3s or
yeah. I've got the ones. Let me pull up the ones I've got. Oh yeah, I've definitely got the 3s, and these might be the same width as the 3.
Yeah.
It's just the lace, the little where the lace goes in.
The lace lock, yeah.
The lace lock or whatever. That added accessory just kind of takes it out of my wheelhouse.
These started the 4 from the 3 to the 4. These started getting a little bit more of that like 90s tech kind of look.
Yes,
like they sit well next to like the Andre Agassi like Tech Challenger shoe, and like that might have even used some of the same hardware. But yeah, the 3 kind of kept it a little bit more classic, like a little bit less plastic, that type of thing.
I've got the retro 3, and then the ones, which is what I will be.
You're
standing. I've got a pair of the ones. They are the Luka. It's Luka signature, the Luka inspired mindfulness one. I like those a lot. Like those are the ones. If I'm wearing Jordans out, I'm probably wearing those. And I love this look, man. The Jordan 1, it's just iconic. It looks the cleanest to me, and this color scheme is just fire, man.
Yeah.
And I like that it's not the one we just had. The one that I canceled. The 4s are just. They're so blue. They're so impossibly
very, very
blue.
blue. Yes.
These, I mean, there's at least enough of the white mixed in and the gray to where you can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm mostly on. I'm on pretty much the same page as you. I really want to like that 4 because I think it's unique and it's different, but that it is a lot of blue to put down. I mean,
I would be texting you like every other day, like, what can I wear these with? I'm like, we got to go shop, man. I don't know where I'm gonna find something to pair these with.
You're on your nope. I'm gonna botch the reference. I fucked that up. I was gonna say you're on your Mark Cohn bullshit with those, but I'm not sure that I nailed the singer songwriter that did "Walking in Memphis."
Oh, who did "Walking in Memphis"?
I mean, there's been a bunch of renditions of it, but
it is Mark Cohn.
It is Mark Cohn.
Look at that, man.
I hesitated. Step back and brick.
No, you got it, man. you actually did yourself wrong there. You got it.
Luka had a nice little buzzer beater last night, I heard.
Yeah, it's great, and then it's the late game, so you spend like the next hour like looking at Twitter and watching highlights and interviews. So I didn't get to bed till late, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Dude, he comes in with his footwear, the stuff he wears into the game. It's just like if I had like FU money, I would just be like, yep, put those in the bag. I would be buying everything because he looks so cool in them. Like, and I know I'm not a world-class point guard, but I was like, man, I wish I could pull that off so bad.
Yeah, Luka's style to me though, it very much is like. I like that. Throw it in the bag. It's almost not thought through. He's like, that's tight. That's tight. That's tight. I'm wearing it all. You know what I mean?
It's like it's a combo. He's got enough of the Euro that he brought over with him.
It's very Euro also is what it is.
Yeah.
Which they are not afraid to just like put on a bunch of snazzy things at one time, basically. And I know a lot of players do that in the NBA, but with him especially, it just looks very like. He's just wearing his favorite things, like all of his favorite things at one time.
Yeah, I mean he's very much a kid in his early 20s.
Yeah. All right, Dave. Well, that wraps it up. Those are all the segments that I have. So I really appreciate you being here to talk through the short shift with me and do a little stand, mute, cancel, and make a decision or at least give some more more insight into this this ongoing story with the On Performance Swiss engineered running shoes.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on them.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be surprised if I show up to Lifetime with these.
I
at some
won't.
point.
I won't be, and I won't. I'll give you credit for it.
I now have like 5 tabs open, 5 more tabs.
Say this is what happens.
Shorts.
You become a tab boy.
I'm a tab boy. God, man, these Nike ones, I really like these. Are these
yeah.
polyester? Like,
I think they're nylon. I think
nylon.
they're either all nylon or all poly. So.
Well, stand by because I will be copping.
Okay. Well, next time I come through the studio, then
Oh yeah,
expect you to be in.
I'm gonna lean in real heavy.
In various of the things, in multitudes of the items that we talked about today. Dave, before we sign off here, anything that you'd like to plug?
Check out Club. Obviously,
Club
check out
Cool.
Club
Yeah,
Cool.
do it.
Thanks.
Do it. Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Check out Circling Back. Check out Too Much Dip. It's our sports podcast. Other Wash Media pods, Internet Party, and Brunch.
Shouts to Internet Party.
Boys.
Yeah, that's the latest pickup. If I'm not mistaken.
Man, it's a podcast, but it's also a party. So
yeah, okay.
Have fun with it.
Shouts to John Duda.
Shout out John and Brad.
And Bradley. Okay, for me, go check out. I referenced our Discord a bunch of times. One of the perks of becoming a patron of Club Cool again is access to that Discord. It pops off all the time. I am not joking. If you want, we talk cooking in there. There's been a bunch of cast iron pan talk after Clayton and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. There's been wine talk apparently. There was a big freeze that bust down on some of the French grapes, so that's not good for the 2021 vintage. We're talking natural wines. We're talking all these latest releases, ALD and Nike and Jordans and everything in between all those subjects. So it's a really great perk. Check us out, patreon.com/clubcool. You can also follow us on the gram @clubcoolpod. And thanks so much for listening. We will be back next week.